Chrystia Freeland has taken a break from seizing bank accounts of peaceful protesters in the truckers' rebellion to seizing a percentage of your hard-earned money through tax time in the form of her new budget, the largest budget in Canadian history, both in terms of spending and in terms of taxation. Joining us now to talk about it is a man who's delved into the details of the budget, our friend Franco Terrazzano, the federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, who joins us now via Skype from Ottawa. Franco, am I right to say this is the largest amount of money ever extracted from Canadians?
Yeah, this is another big spending budget. Ezra, the only way to call this budget is another credit card budget from Canada's national credit card government. We're seeing another huge deficit this year, more than $50 billion. Now, the government is already more than $1 trillion in debt. And this budget over the next few years is going to add another $150 billion to the debt tab. But it's not just the debt that taxpayers need to worry about. This government is also wasting a ton of money on interest charges. Now, every single month, taxpayers are going to have to pay more than $2 billion on interest charges on the government's credit card bills.
You know, I'm worried about interest charges because, of course, everyone who has a mortgage ought to be worried about it. We've had a very long period of very low interest rates, which is great for people buying homes. But now we see inflation. Does the budget do anything but pour gas on that fire? I mean, I can't believe some of the prices I see out there for basic things. I mean, forget about just gas at the gas pump, but food and I don't know. I think of people who rely on these input costs, like a farmer or a trucker. Housing is just insane. Well, I think for Toronto, it's up 29% housing prices in 1 year. You can't even get into a house if you're a young person, and it gets further away from you every year. Is there any realization of that reality in the budget? Is there any? Are they aware, or are they just acting like it's always been?
Well, Ezra, the government likes to talk about affordability. And of course, so many Canadians are struggling right now. Many Canadians can't afford to fuel their cars with gasoline or to be able to purchase the ground beef at the grocery store. And the reason is because you have this federal government that has been spending like crazy for years, raising taxes and having the printing press on overdrive. We just saw the carbon tax increase for the third time during COVID-19. And remember, other countries are providing tax relief. You have South Korea cut gas taxes by 20%. India, similar story there. Poland, fuel tax relief as well. The United Kingdom just announced fuel tax relief. Alberta, Ontario, those provinces are providing tax relief. So you have all these other countries that are providing their citizens with relief, while Ottawa continues to stick us with higher tax bills. And It almost seems like the government is trying to combat inflation with more government debt. Well, trying to fight inflation with more debt is like trying to put out a fire with a gas can.
Yeah. You know, I'm really worried about it. How does it end? I mean, I suppose theoretically things can keep going up forever, but what happens to the housing market? What happens to, I mean, I think that certain cities are becoming completely unaffordable for young people. If you can't afford a home, you can't start a family. You can't really move out of your parents' place and get married, and your whole life is sort of on pause. And like you say, people are getting into energy poverty. Now, you and I know that's a terrible thing to do to a person, but actually the Trudeau ideology is make carbon so expensive. I hate how he says price pollution. Make the use of gasoline so expensive that the pain of paying for it changes people's behavior. That's the theory. Stéphane Dion introduced that to us 15 years ago. He called it the green shift. Trudeau actually believes in that, but all this pain, all this hardship, how does it end?
And the pain's only starting, too. That's what really is so unsettling, isn't it? Right now, the carbon tax, 11 cents per liter of gasoline. Well, this year, the Trudeau government is imposing a second carbon tax. They're sneaking it in what they call fuel regulations, but that could add an extra 11 cents per liter to the price of gasoline. But the Trudeau government wants to continue to raise and raise and raise this carbon tax all the way up to 40 cents per liter of gasoline by 2030. 40 cents per liter just in the carbon tax, let alone actually buying your fuel. So what we've seen is crazy amounts of spending, government that is unwilling to put down the credit card, and even tax hikes, which is pushing up the cost of living here in Canada.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.